Elizabeth O'Neill Howard of Ocracoke describes meal wine and other spirits on the island. Amy Glass interviewed Mrs. Howard in 1988 for the Southern Oral History program. The Outer Banks Community Foundation provided funds to digitize the original recording.
They made meal wine.
They made what?
Meal wine.
Meal wine? Out of cornmeal?
Yes. And I can tell you what you put in it.
Please do.
1 pack of meal, 2 packages of dry peaches, and I think like 5 pounds of sugar. What else in it? I started to make some not too long ago. I told Betty told my daughter I was going to make some, and I asked Sam. They put it in crocks or cans or something and let it ferment. I don't know how long. I wouldn't want to drink it after it sat out.
Did they add water to it or thing? They have to water?
They must have had to add. I think they put some water in it.
Yeah.
I would think they'd have to.
You ever try it?
No, I was afraid to.
Get any now?
I've heard, I don't know, that it was better than champagne, and that's what one lady that married a lady from Boston called it Ocracoke champagne. Tack knows how to make it. Tack knew what you put in it. And he said he and Thomas used to make it up at Thomas's home, and they weren't dirty, you know. I mean, they were careful. They kept it inside and strained it off up there.
So then when people came to the island, then there was some kind of spirits to drink.
Well, one time my daddy was in the hospital, and of course she was a lot older than me, and she looked at my father and she said, wouldn't you like to go through one of those square dances again? And he said, yeah, and they were both old then and had been sick. They were both at Duke Hospital at the same time. Well, she said, I'm going to tell you something, and I'll shock these children. Another girl was with me in the hospital with my father. She said, one time we all went down to Ocracoke on the Buckeyes. I don't know if it was the Russell L or which one it was, but there was 2 boats that run every week. And she said, and I had the worst attack of kidney colics, that I never had it before, and I've never had it since. But they didn't have much fun because they're worrying about me. And they brought me to Captain Bill's Family Cove Inn, and I went to bed, and I was sick the whole time. So one night, I call these names, they're both dead, they're making different. Sam Williams and Oscar Jackson came in and said, Elizabeth, you haven't sold any News and Observers this time, have you? That's what she sold down here. Or she sold them all through the section. And I bet one cheese people bought the News and Observer from her. But anyway, I said, no, boys, I haven't. And she said, boys, I'll tell you, I've got a gallon of corn liquor. I want y'all to have it, so you can have it. They said, well, we'll get it later or something. I don't know just what their answer was. But anyway, they left, and they went to the dance hall, and they got every man there in that dance hall over to Captain Bill's dining room, which was huge, and they had them lined up around the wall. They went back to her room and said, Elizabeth, could you put your robe on and come down there? And she said, no, I don't feel like it. I don't think I can do that. Well, anyway, they went back, and they told those men that were standing around, they said, Elizabeth Warren has a gallon of corn liquor, and if you all will buy a News and Observer, she's going to give it to us. Now, that wasn't what she told them. And they all bought a News and Observer. Then one man popped up and said, I can't read, but I'll take it for a month. Now, that's what she was telling. I'm telling you just like she was telling my daddy. She said, and I know you wouldn't know anything about Josephus Daniels, but you would. The News and Observer, you did. Well, he was teetotal. No liquor around Josephus Daniels. No part of it. But anyway, she said, I guess it was 3 months or maybe longer that before she ever saw him. And it was at a convention. And he came up and said to her, now tell me, have you ever sold that many subscriptions under one day in such a small place? And she said, I have done things that wasn't maybe right. I'm not telling you I've been any angel, but I've never lied in my life. And I made up my mind I wasn't going to lie to him. And I said, Mr. Daniels, I didn't really sell your news and observer. I swapped it for a gallon of corn liquor. She said, he tapped me on the shoulder and said, wonders never cease.